Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. If you can imagine it, they have already built it. What most people experience as innovation is usually the final step of a much longer process, one that began decades earlier, inside closed institutions with unlimited budgets. Modern technology does not originate in public markets. It originates inside military and government research programs designed to secure advantage, not adoption. These programs solve problems of navigation, simulation, surveillance, coordination, and control under conditions where cost is secondary and secrecy is routine. Once a capability works reliably at scale, it does not need to move quickly. It can remain confined, improve incrementally, and deploy selectively until release becomes strategically convenient. The delay is structural, not accidental. Research establishes what is possible. Contractors convert demonstrations into systems that can run continuously. Interfaces and standards ensure components built by different organizations behave predictably. Once those standards harden, infrastructure is built to match them. At that point, the architecture is fixed. What follows is not invention, but rollout, governed by manufacturing capacity, regulation, and political tolerance. In practice, this produces a long gap between first capability and civilian dependence. Satellite navigation was operational for military use decades before it became a civilian utility. The first global positioning system satellites launched in the late 1970s. Consumer devices did not treat GPS as a default dependency until the late 2000s. Immersive simulation and virtual reality systems were demonstrated in research and defense labs in the 1960s. Consumer hardware did not reach scale until computing power and display costs fell enough to support mass adoption. Unmanned aerial systems were fielded during the Cold War. Consumer drones became commonplace only after sensors, batteries, and export controls aligned. Neural networks were studied throughout the 20th century. Large-scale commercial artificial intelligence arrived only when computation became rentable and data collection became routine. The interval varies, but the pattern holds. Capability precedes public reliance by decades. What the public encounters is never the beginning of this process. It is the end of it. By the time a technology appears in consumer form, its assumptions are already embedded in standards, supply chains, and institutional practice. Manufacturing aligns to a specific design, software is written against stable interfaces, and vendors produce compatible components. Large technology companies tend to arrive at this moment of convergence. Their advantage is not discovery, but timing and execution. They industrialize architectures that already exist, expand manufacturing, and normalize use through software platforms and distribution networks. As scale concentrates, one implementation often becomes the market default, not through invention, but through volume, tooling, and ecosystem support. This is why modern technology feels inevitable when it arrives. It does not appear as an experiment. It arrives as infrastructure. To those encountering it for the first time, it can feel almost like magic, because the complexity that makes it possible has already been absorbed into systems they never saw being built. Innovation in this sense is not a breakthrough, it is a release. The future does not appear when something is invented. It appears when it is no longer useful to keep it contained.